let's talk about labor market for asylum seekers. Yes, asylum seekers are expected to work. You are allowed to start working 1 month after applying for asylum, which is from the date of your confirmation letter, or upon receipt of your alien registration certificate number. Your access to labor market is limited. You are allowed to work only in some categories. Your work permit is your alien registration certificate. You do not need any other paper to prove that you are allowed to work. However, your employer found in the specific category where you are allowed to work is required to obtain a special permit to employ. Obtaining such a permit may take some time. The employer will ask you to sign a contract. This contract is then sent for processing to the labor office, and the permit to employ you may be or may not be granted to the employer. You need to expect a waiting period of some 2 months before you know whether your employer was given a permit to employ you. Until such time, you are not allowed to work. In this slide, you can study the work sectors that you are allowed to look for employment in. Your labor conditions are defined by the labor laws and are included in your contract. You are not allowed to work more hours than 48, including the overtime per week. You are entitled to 21 days paid holiday in a year. You will be covered by insurance at work for accident, and your employer will pay social insurance contributions for you. You may be asked to do a trial before your employer commits to employ you. We advise you for such trial not to take longer than 3 days and ensure with your employer that you will be paid. There are very few jobs that have set minimum salary in Cyprus, and none of the jobs that asylum seekers are entitled to do is included in that category. Your salary may vary between 400 to 800 euros. If the job offered to you by the employer comes with living accommodation and expenses for food covered, you may receive a salary of 400 euros. For example, this is the case in agriculture. However, jobs in the city should fetch as much as 800 euros. The standard hourly pay, acceptable hourly pay for foreign workers is around 5 euros an hour, just to give you an idea. Terms and conditions of your employment are defined in the contract of employment, which will be given to you upon your employers receiving the approval from the labor office to employ you. You must have a copy of your contract. Without a copy of your contract, you should not start working. You may look for a job yourself. You may ask employment agencies to help you, and you may also ask the labor office to help you. If you would like to receive help from the labor office to find you a job, you need to register with your confirmation letter and alien book. You need to register in the labor office in the district where you live. It will be very helpful for the labor officer to have a copy of your CV. Remember, you need to show the labor officer that you are able and willing to work. Meeting a labor officer in the labor office, it's like meeting your future employer. You need to present yourself in a way that is attractive to the employer to employ you. If the labor office cannot find you a job, they will present you with an unemployment card, commonly known as a labor card. Labor card is a confirmation that the labor officer could not find you a job, and is also an appointment card for the next time when you need to present yourself again at the labor office and ask for a job again. It is very important that you give a copy of your labor card to the social welfare office to show that you are still unemployed and need their support. You must keep track of your next appointment to the labor office. It is very important that you take this seriously are not late for your appointment and don't miss the day of your appointment. If you do not turn up to your appointment within the specified period of time, the Labour officer has a right to close your file and your benefits in the Social Welfare Office will be terminated. If you are seeking help of the employment agencies or employment agents, we caution you, be very, very careful. If anybody asks you for money beforehand for finding you a job, it is probably not a legitimate agency and not a legitimate agent.